Hello, Capel English here with Plinker Systems. We're recording a series of videos talking about the pneumatic controller or pneumatic target controller software. In this section, we're going to talk about using a remote activator. And so there can be a variety of different types of remote activators, but one that we have that we just brought to the market is a push button remote. So it's almost like your TV remote, and you probably can't see it, but there's 6 buttons on here, and these 6 buttons map directly to the shortcut IDs that we have defined in the software. So if I turn the power on, the little LED light comes on, tells me these are ready to go. Now, if we look over at the software, just to review from the last clip, we've got 4 shortcuts. Shortcuts 1, 2, and 3 activate targets 1, 2, and 3, and shortcut number 4 activates all targets. So coming back to the remote control, if I press button number 1, then we'll see target number 1 activate. Okay, we didn't see target number 1 activate, and here's why. Because I have yet to add the activator to the system. So I have it powered up, and I click Discover, and the system will go out there and try to find any remote activators that it can see. And so it finds one right here, and the MAC address is correct. So we're just going to call this button remote. Okay, so now the system is aware of this remote control, and on the software we have set up the 4 shortcuts. So if I press button number 1, then it will activate target number 1, and if I press button number 2, it'll activate target number 2. And if I press button number 3, it'll activate target number 3. Now keep in mind, it's running the target timeline for that target. That's why you see multiple presentations here, okay? If I were to go back to the software and go back to timelines and just right click on the timeline, on the blue area below the presentation interval, which sets it to 0, then I can, and I'm going to do that on target number 1. So target number 1, the timeline now says don't ever activate the front target or the non-threat, and only activate the threat target 1 time. And so now, without having to do anything else, if we go over and look at the target, and I press the button number 1, it's going to activate the threat target 1 time for 2 seconds. And I can press it again, and it'll do it again. This is a really handy feature because the instructor can use it when following a student through a scenario. And so, especially in law enforcement training, where maybe you're going through a shoot house or something, the timing is different from one shooter to the next, or maybe the instructor wants to present a target on the right before presenting a target on the left, and you can do that very easily with this remote control. So it's a really handy feature. Now there's one other feature of this remote control that it's obviously documented. We've got documentation online. You can look it up. But it has a 1/8 inch mono jack, audio jack, which is just 2 wires, and it goes, and you can hook that up to any type of momentary switch. So for example, I have one here. It's just a 1/8 inch mono jack, and I plug it in, and on the end of it is just a little cheap Radio Shack momentary button. Okay, now there's also a knob on the end that has a number of different settings, like 15 different settings. So if I set this to number 1, then it's going to run shortcut number 1. So if I simply reach up here and press this button, then we're going to see target number 1 activate. So I press the button, target number 1 activates. If I switch this setting to number 2 and I press the button, then the target number 2's complete timeline is going to run. So why did we do this? The reason that we made this feature is so that you can use this remote with your own type of switches. So you could use a pressure pad, for example, or you could use a push button. So like a doorbell button would be an example of something really cheap and inexpensive that you could use in conjunction with this. There's just a lot of different ways. Like we hooked one up to an old payphone switch. So when you hang the phone up, it triggers the targets to start moving. So there's just lots of different things you can do with it, and it really kind of makes this a universal remote. So any kind of momentary switch will activate it. So this is an unoptional product. You don't need it, and you don't have to have it, but it's certainly a great feature to have, especially in a training scenario. So anyway, that's it for this video, and we'll come back and talk about another one of our remote activators in just a moment. So stay tuned. Now, we need you to help us out. Please like, please share, and please subscribe. If you've got questions, leave them in the comments area below. We'll be happy to answer them. If you've got ideas for videos you'd like us to do, then do that as well. Give us a shout. We'll see if we can't make that happen. Thanks for watching.